Hello, my name is Nevis and I'd like to welcome you to our presentation. By our, I mean Tom Hodges and myself. We've collaborated on a few presentations, bringing together our individual expertise in the creation of specific materials, videos, podcasts, slideshows, and many Google documents filled with notes documenting our online journey. We've specifically opted to use the TTS, text-to-speech robot, voiceover for our videos rather than our own voices, because we believe that the TTS presents a cleaner and clearer presentation, avoiding the common mistakes of forgetting relevant points or sometimes even the breathing that can detract from a perfect video. Another important reason is that when you write your speech black on white, you are more easily inclined to chop out those unnecessary chattering or banter that goes on like now that I can't think straight. So they're the main reasons why we like to use the TTS speech robot. So please enjoy our two-part video presentation while we will be following your comments and questions in the chat box area. We will also answer all your questions at the end of the videos. Thank you for joining us today in the MM9, proudly brought to you by Dr. Nellie Deutsch on the Integrating Technology Moodle website. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now.
Tom and I have worked on several projects together, always online, and have never met in person, yet there is an affinity and understanding in our pair work, as dedicated teachers and lifelong learners, that goes beyond the boundaries of space. We often meet virtually in Google Docs using our typing and written word to oftentimes communicate, as both of us suffer slow internet connection and have to make the best of our time online. The Google Doc is a brilliant method of writing down and automatically saving our ideas. Then working on Google Slides, which after pages and pages of writing is a breeze, with each of us adding, changing or modifying the projected task at hand. The following brief presentation will introduce the viewer into understanding what teaching online is and how to go about designing your own course. Why teach online? You want to teach online. Perhaps you are a retired teacher, or perhaps you can't find a full-time job and would like to start up a teaching business. Whatever the reason for wanting to teach online, you need to understand some basic principles. Firstly, look at what others are doing. How are they teaching online? What are they teaching? Is it relevant to what you know about teaching online? Look at what is available, types of methods used. Sometimes they are just one-on-one, or small groups, using a blended approaches in providing a video and activities to complete. The types of materials are important, just as is copyright. You need to be very cautious if you intend to copy or borrow freely available material. Always make reference to such and provide bibliography. Writing or preparing your own material is sometimes a more difficult procedure but can be far more rewarding. Use Google Drive, OneDrive, etc. to share online materials with participants. Remember that it's important to understand what your students' needs are, so create a personalized analysis to glean this information. Distance learning has been going on for some time, as large continents or countries like Australia, Canada, etc. have been known to use two-way radio for teachers and students in country areas with no schools. Nowadays, the advent of internet and personal computers has made distance learning an everyday occurrence, and it is happening constantly worldwide in the most remote countries as it is in the busiest of city centers. It is commonplace in most industries that use the online learning platforms to train their staff, as well as universities offering full degrees online. Virtually you can learn anything, anywhere, anytime, in your own self-paced learning environment. The many methods and types of courses available sometimes shy away possible students, participants, learners, simply because there is a lack of understanding of just what they may need. There is a basic need to learn, but what and how, so as a teacher offering a service, you must find a niche and fill it. Most importantly, When deciding to create an online course or even avail yourself to teach online, one of the most important things to do first is to understand and also accept what you are good at. Sometimes what we think and what we seem do not necessarily match. It is important to keep a connectivity going with one or more colleagues that already have online teaching practice by seeking their advice and guidance. Participate in other online courses, diverse types, to understand what you yourself would require your participants to carry out. There are many Moodle MOOCs that are free, or teacher training courses at very affordable costs. Most offer many ideas and invaluable training for broadening the future online teachers' methods and tools for teaching, as well as providing training with some of the most avant-garde online learning platforms, which is a bonus in then being able to use the same platform for setting up your future course. There are so many online learning platforms. These are just some of the most popular. Some are completely free and some involve yearly subscriptions. However, they all differ, so you would have to try them out and find the one that suits you in your area of teaching. Remember, sometimes paying a yearly subscription also provides online support technicians at all times, security and safety for your students, privacy, and copyright protection. But before you pay anything, make sure that you have done the research and tried out the mechanisms as much as possible. If you have a teaching background, then you will know what it means to go into the classroom prepared, sometimes adding your own input to the traditional textbook activity or creating your own activity for in-class work, like tests, essays, projects, etc. You would also be aware how important it is to create material that is relevant and suited to the age group of the participants. For example, basics for beginners, specific literature for advanced. This goes for any subject teaching. The advantage of preparing digital material saves on printing or photocopying, then physically having to carry and hand out to all participants in time for the class to begin. With online teaching, you can share the files in any format via cloud sharing tools or even just sending via email attachments, whatever you find easiest to use and for your participants' level or knowledge of using digital materials. You can either share prior to the live class, during the live class, or after the live class. Preparing material that is relevant means something like this: teaching EFL to electrical engineers, create material to teach English using electrical engineering articles. Sometimes your participants will already be able to provide reference materials like websites, etc. It has been my experience that the participants are more engaged in the learning process when they can relate to the material, and sometimes in their effort to clarify certain procedures, for example, to you, they are learning without realizing it. NB There is no need to become an electronic engineer in the effort to teach a language, unless of course you are in the business of teaching electrical engineering. Again, this boils down to what your area of expertise will be. An example of preparing material: one way is to use Google Slides, in this case, and also add audio and/or video animation to the slide. The animation is always easy to create using the transition feature. Images and the language intended to master within the lesson, in this case English for travel. The material can always be shared in PDF format, ensuring lighter download files for participants. Normally the material is shared prior to the lesson when the lesson time is limited or where the blended approach to learning is being used. Otherwise, sharing post-lesson is always adaptable when the lesson time will allow for all the didactic material to be absorbed correctly. Remember always to cite the images where possible. Let's take a look at the video prepared for this particular slide. One of the benefits of online teaching is that you can opt to actually record the whole lesson and provide the lesson for the participant to watch again and again. Sharing the video lessons may not be a good idea on a public viewing platform, especially if the participants are paying for the course. There are password-protected video sharing sites that are extremely useful in this instance. One such is Vimeo. Some platforms do, however, offer the added service of providing the lesson recording in MP4 or other format. Although I am a believer in providing lesson recordings for all my online teaching, even tutoring, in fact I like to use video editing to make the recording of the lesson even more engaging and fruitful. Let's look at the important points that go into setting up an online teaching business. Firstly, create a suitable name and logo that will be your visual appearance. Then prepare a company brochure, or report that outlines various teaching methodologies in the form of proposals. When you get a contractual agreement in place, the next step is to create a needs analysis using Google Forms, with which to set up the course plan, in other words, a roadmap. First lesson, normally the introductory free lesson, you would introduce the course setup, didactic materials, link to cloud, and home study hours. Use an appropriate LMS to help the self-paced learning. Use video tutorials and podcasts shared privately or publicly. However, if the course participants are paying customers, then it is recommended to keep all tutorials private. Use badges and attendance certificates. Make sure that the outcome is in line with the stakeholders' original contractual agreement. Prepare final report and analysis of the course to hand over to the stakeholders. This is the cover of the roadmap I have used for business English courses. Although the cover may be similar, the contents will always reflect the contractual agreement with the company at hand. The use of blogs and social networks are not always acceptable by companies. However, there are private blogs, private Facebook groups, WhatsApp messages, Skype groups, Hangouts or other similar social communication that you can share with participants on a private level.
I hope you enjoyed my Australian counterpart in the text-to-speech robot. Now it's over to Tom's text-to-speech robot presenting the second half of our presentation slides. Remember to note down any questions which we will answer at the end of this video. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.
Thank you, Nevis. Hi everybody. For the last couple of weeks, we've been investigating about authentic learning, effective course design, and student engagement, and practicing the use of basic course design with Moodle resources, activities, and blocks. Today, I would like to take this a little bit further and show you how to put everything together and design a Moodle-based course. The example we'll be looking at is a foreign language course I prepared earlier this year. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the presentation.
Let's take a look at setting up a Moodle course. The first thing you have to think about is what server will you use to host it. The server has to be reliable, and have enough space for your course, and be fast enough for all your traffic. Does it have tech service and a help desk? Is it priced correctly for your needs? The best offer you'll find on the market is Dr. Nellie's Moodle for Teachers site. You'll find a link to it on the links page in the presentation on SlideShare. So, we now have our host space, and have collected all our course contents. Now we have to build our course on Moodle, following all the recommendations for authentic learning, effective course design and student engagement that we have seen in the Moodle MOOC. The first thing to start with is the block layout. The layout I've used is the standard layout for this Moodle theme of 3 block columns. In the left-hand column I place the administration blocks and help desk. In the right-hand column, all the social blocks, and in the center, of course, the course contents per page. Each major topic of my course is available from a principal page, linked to from the topic tabs. Scrolling down the introduction page you can see the rest of the contents of the administrative and social activities blocks. Let's take a closer look at the course content that goes on the introduction page. Here you should have the official course title with logo, followed by a short welcome message. Obviously you have to indicate where the course starts, and how participants can keep tabs on their progress through it. This should be followed by an introduction to the course, news forum. What is the course about? What participants will be doing? The class schedule and agenda. How to navigate the course. Participants' expectations forum. Achievement badges. External social groups. What study methodology should be used? How to use the forums, and the social forum within the Moodle course. For a language course it's very important to emphasize the study methodology. The methodology should state what the class layout is, and the recommended daily or weekly study times. There should appear a support forum at the bottom of every page. Let's take a look at the additional topics pages. All principal pages are shown by clicking on the tabs at the top center of the course content block. All principal pages and lessons start with a revision of the last lesson. You should begin with an introduction to pronunciation and spelling. Include additional material about regional variations, dialects and accents. Continue with the alphabet and detailed information and practice, written and oral, of pronunciation and spelling. Most foreign languages differ in word order and sequence. Don't forget to place the revision of the previous class first. Practice reading and listening with interactive videos. Individual lessons, answer forums, history and culture lessons, and quizzes are all available from the individual lesson page. As each class is revised just before the next class starts, quizzes may be spaced out after every couple of classes. Lesson 3 is revised before Lesson 4, so you can quiz Lessons 1 and 2 after Lesson 4, and Lessons 3 and 4 after Lesson 6, etc. Don't forget to plan for holidays and study breaks in your class schedule. The last principal topic is webinars, or recorded videos. These are short online classes, spotlighting the principal topics and problems encountered. Layout of a typical lesson starts with the audio-video revision of the previous lesson, with chances to practice using external apps like Memrise. The lesson continues, following the layout given in study methodology, with exercises for practicing the material. An additional topic is also studied. The number of topics per lesson depends upon time constraints. After revising this material, a link is given to the Irish History and Culture page. At the foot of each lesson page is a link to the answer forum, a place to practice writing and talking. Here the facilitator places his notes about the lesson, describing in more detail any grammatical points encountered in the lesson. At the foot of every page is the link to the appropriate forum. Here are some links for reference. Hope you enjoyed our presentation, and that it will help you with your online course planning and structure. Thanks for watching. See you again in Moodle MOOC 10, where we hope to share more advanced ideas and procedures for your online courses.
Thank you. Please ask any questions in the chat box where we will be pleased to answer them.